How you doing, everybody? This is Inspired Wisdom number 3, and we're here to talk about the Selena Netflix special. So, how do I start this? First of all, I'm super tired. I gotta tell you guys, rest is so essential. And I think I'm playing with fire right now because, or I'm setting myself up for failure, but you know what? We're just gonna go with it. Again, this podcast is also about witnessing thought in action, right? So yeah, Selena, loved her in the 90s. I didn't listen to her early on in her career. I was fairly young. Um, but I listened to her album, her posthumous album in 95 with my brother. He had just graduated high school and he was taking me up every summer to go to his college, which was about 6 hours away. And what he would do was he would just throw on an album and we would just rock it out from the beginning to the end. And it went from everything from Tupac Shakur to La Bouche and then to Selena. The album that we listened to was Dreaming of You, and he got it from his girlfriend. But my brother was very open to music, and that kind of instilled a lot in me and how I kind of listen to music now. Although he can't listen to a song for about more than 30 seconds nowadays. But I love to listen to albums all the way through. I like to hear the artist's intention, the story, and I love the artwork. I love the holding the physical booklet, the pictures. I mean, you name it. Me doing music myself, I like to produce things like that as well. So yeah, this Netflix series, excellent. I loved it. The character development was so solid. I would hope it was, considering the amount of episodes. It was only 2 seasons, but it was very well done. Christian Serratos plays Selena, and she does it very well. Back in the 90s, we got the Jennifer Lopez rendition of it, which was also very well made. I would say I like both of them. I don't want to say one is better than the other. I think they both have their pros and cons. And I feel like this one we got to see the family dynamic even a little better. Again, Christian Serratos does an excellent job. She really portrays the sweetness and innocence of Selena more than Jennifer Lopez. We got to see the connections that she had with Suzette, who was part of the production of this series, with AB, who was the primary songwriter, and definitely her father and her mother. And yeah, it was very well made. It was very hard to watch it, just like the 90s movie. But yeah, Netflix, they keep on doing some great stuff. All of these streaming services, they're really doing some great things. We're really living in a great time to be a film major, an acting major, a writer. I mean, look at all these streaming services. You have so many opportunities. I mean, I'm not in that industry, but it seems like it's better than ever to be part of this industry in some way, graphics. Yeah. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really loved that it was based around family. I mean, this is a true story. But nowadays, I feel like the family types of movies that we got a lot of in the 90s, they kind of pushed away from it. Now it's more either very political, very superhero fantasy, which I do like, don't get me wrong. But the family thing is very important. The family dynamic is very important to show in pop media because I feel like in America, we've almost forgotten the importance of family. And even when you're growing up, You feel like your family isn't that important. You got all your answers right with you and your friends. You know everything, I was guilty of that myself. But what this show shows you is the importance of family and the importance to be there for your family, especially in times of tragedy. And that family was so innocent and so loving that they were able to get through this tragedy because they were such a solid unit. And what what else I saw in them is that they didn't have too many vices. They weren't extending themselves so far in terms of, nobody was dealing with alcoholism, addiction, as far as we know. But because of those things, because they were so structured, because they were so disciplined, and primarily because they had their parental figures there for them, watching over them like hawks, they were able to get through this massive tragedy of losing this vital member of their family. And and reading psych books and these self-help books, you read about these reasons to be truthful, not only to yourself but to your family. And the reason why you do that is so you're emotionally there for not only yourself during times of darkness and tragedy, but you're there for your family. And I can definitely tell you that that is important after losing my mother last year. But yeah, you have to be there emotionally and physically for your family. But so you don't lose it, you have to be prepared. So anyway, yeah, I really liked the dad. The dad in this was like such a presence. The guy who played Abraham, his name was Ricardo Shivara. Excellent job. The actor was excellent, but after watching the movie and this series, I want to meet Abraham because that's the guy that I want to be for my family. He was such a lion taking care of his cubs, and he said, listen, and there was a lot of darkness there. They were, going from place to place, trying to find a decent place to live. And, he was like, I got this. He had to keep himself together. He had to be emotionally there for his family. And he got them through it. And another thing that he said was, I got you. Listen to me. That's another thing, another lesson that I learned through this. Listen to your parents, right? You will know if your parents are emotionally there, emotionally stable. And even if they're not, most of the time, I have a firm belief, and I've also read this in psych books, that, people are good and people want the best for their children. Your family, your parents want the best for you, and they see your potential before you do. I know for sure my parents did. They pushed me and pushed me. They pushed my brother. They pushed my sister. And we were a first generation immigrant family in the United States, coming from the eastern side of the world. And, that pressure that they put on us, it really did push my family. It pushed my brother, definitely, pushed my sister. And, we persevered. And as we saw our parents persevere in business, and, even though we didn't have, a lavish lifestyle, they showed us what hard work could get you. And they tried to push us in certain directions, even though we didn't want to do the work. But I'm a firm believer that a little bit of pressure is good. And Abraham pushed his kids almost to the limit. Definitely more than I would think that is actually healthy for children. But you know what? He kind of pushed them towards music. So music is a little different than, I guess, something that a kid might not like. Like, academics is really tough unless the kid really likes it. So he was pushing them toward pop music and, things that they liked. I mean, at first they had to do cover songs, and that's just the nature of music. You usually start off doing cover music, and then once you start getting ears, you start creating your own. Of course, through that process, you learn how to play the instrument, you learn to hear what people want and how to make the changes in musics right away, things like that. But yeah, they were playing music that they wanted to play eventually. So that pressure and pushing them there, they eventually embraced it. And look what happened. Something beautiful, magical. That is magic. And the fact that it was all based around family, it was like, oh, and it was heartbreaking to see this family just, man, go through such heartache. Yeah, and Selena's voice, though. I mean, when you see these actors uh, portraying Selena, you hear her voice and you're like, first of all, when you're listening to that album, the posthumous album that I heard, there was nothing that I heard like it before. And I grew up in a musical family. I heard everyone from Engelbert to Elvis, Tony Braxton, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. I mean, you name it, all the elite voices. And then, in 95, when I heard Selena, I heard her go from super soft to operatic to powerful. And it's like, wow, I never knew a person could have so many dynamics in their voice. When you heard that voice, and I tried to craft this correctly in my head before I tell you guys, but when you hear a voice like that, you're not only hearing Selena's understanding of how to use a voice, you're hearing the power of her ancestors. That's how amazing that voice is. You not only heard just her, going through the years of practicing her voice, but those are her ancestors speaking through her. And that's really powerful that we summon. It's almost like when Jim Carrey summons another artist, or when you mimic someone, right? You are summoning that person's soul. What she's doing is she's summoning so many spirits in her. And it's just amazing that she was able to have that. And yeah, it's like, it gives me goosebumps because, as a singer myself and a musician, I try to do those things. I think a lot of musicians try to do that. She did it very well. Very well. And one thing my wife said is that she wishes that Selena was still alive today. And I'm like, absolutely, without a doubt. She would be up there with the elites, Beyonce, Celine Dion. She would be making albums still, or she would be doing what she really wanted based on what we saw in these movies and in this show, which is having a family and doing her fashion. And I think she mentioned doing movies as well. But yeah, show was amazing. Loved it. And you wonder how many people were influenced by her and still continue to be influenced by her. But that's what being a legend is, right? Yeah, so I mean, I think I covered it all. That was episode 3, Selena Netflix series. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please come back and join me again. Take it easy, guys.